Hello, I'm Dr. Terry Susan Fine, Content Specialist for the Florida Joint Center for Citizenship, which is part of the School of Politics, Security, and International Affairs at the University of Central Florida in Orlando. Welcome to our Middle School Civics Highlights series. Today we will be focusing attention on Benchmark 2.2, differentiating between obligations and responsibilities of citizenship and evaluate their impact on society. In Part 1, we will focus on obligations, responsibilities, and the common good, and their impact on active participation in society. Our benchmark clarifications tell us that we'll be distinguishing between an obligation or duty and a responsibility as it relates to citizenship, as well as recognizing the concept of the common good as a reason for fulfilling the obligations and responsibilities of citizenship. We'll be asking ourselves, what is the difference between civic obligations and responsibilities? How does the concept of the common good serve as a reason for fulfilling the obligations and responsibilities of citizenship and the common good? And how do the obligations and responsibilities of citizens relate to active participation in society and government? So what is the difference between civic obligations and responsibilities? When we're focusing on civic obligations, we're focusing on the idea that there is an obligation or duty where citizens are required to fulfill these actions by law. What is a responsibility? These are the activities that citizens should participate in for the sake of the common good. So we have some examples. For civic obligations, meaning required by law, that means a person must obey laws, pay taxes. Taxes are laws, but they're in a class by themselves. They must defend the nation. Men who are 18 to 26 must register for selective service. And we must serve on juries as an obligation or a duty of citizenship. What about civic responsibilities? What actions that benefit the community or benefit the common good should we engage in? Voting, attending civic meetings, petitioning the government, running for office, or performing community service. As you can see, in many of these activities, a person is getting themselves well informed about the political process, and they are expressing their position within the political process. So, for example, when we vote, we are giving the government a signal as to the direction that we want government to take. Now, the candidates that we support may lose, they may win, but we still send a message when we vote as to the direction that we want government to take. Attending civic meetings means attending meetings such as city council meetings, school board meetings, watching on network television, how the Senate and the House hold hearings and how they vote. That's attending a civic meeting as well. We can also petition the government, meaning that we can contact legislators, we can write letters, we can go on their social media to try to tell the government the kinds of things that we think that it should do to make the country or our community a better place. We ourselves could run for office. We could decide that we want to serve in government, and so we can run for office, and that's certainly a civic responsibility. And we can also perform community service. We can see that there may be some kind of a civic issue or a civic problem that needs attention, and we decide that we're going to take it upon ourselves to address that problem with our own labor, with our own volunteer labor when we perform community service. So how do obligations relate to citizenship and the common good? Well, when we obey laws, we are keeping order so that people are safe. If, for example, we might be inclined to not stop at a stoplight if we're driving, or to not obey other laws, that means that other people may not be safe. Paying taxes. Taxes pay for large programs that benefit everyone, such as roads, schools, and libraries, among others. Taxes pay for the military to keep the country safe and strong. So by fulfilling the obligation of paying taxes, as much as we might not like to pay taxes, we're also supporting the common good. Jury duty. When we participate in jury duty, citizens are protecting the constitutional right of a trial by jury. A person cannot have a trial if they are accused of a crime unless there is a jury to judge the evidence and to determine whether or not the person is guilty or not guilty. And then we can also focus on defending the nation. Defending the nation benefits the entire country and protects the nation from those who might wish to harm the United States. And so defending the nation is also an obligation. Now we can defend the nation in more, as we see it, in a narrow way, which is serving in the military, registering for selective service. But defending the nation might take other forms, such as taking action if petitioning the government, using our responsibilities to contact legislators if we believe that there's some way that the nation could be better defended. We might use our civic responsibilities to run for office or to petition government to take those actions. How do responsibilities relate to citizenship and the common good? Well, voting relates to the common good because it is one way for citizens to be heard by the leaders who represent them. Attending civic meetings means that a citizen can be heard by public officials, such as attending a city council meeting or neighborhood watch group. So by attending a civic meeting, what we're doing is we are being responsible citizens by becoming informed, even if we never ask a question, even if we do nothing but sit and watch that meeting take place. We are not only becoming informed about governmental processes, but we're also communicating to government leaders that we are becoming informed about government processes. And for that reason, they know that we're watching, which means that they know that we expect them to behave appropriately to support the common good. What about petitioning the government? Petitioning the government allows citizens to share their opinions with the government and ask for help with solving problems. So it's a responsibility. If we see a problem and we see a way to fix it, we should take that responsibility on ourselves to find a way to fix it. Well, if the way to fix a problem is through a policy change, is for the government to take action, we need to then notify the government that there is a specific problem that needs their attention. So by petitioning the government, we are then supporting the common good. Community service. Community service helps the common good because it benefits everyone when a citizen sees a need in their community and takes the extra step to find a solution. So community service says that instead of government taking care of an issue, which we might communicate with our government by petitioning the government to accomplish that, we could instead look in our hearts and say, here's a problem that I, with no power, without being a member of government, that I can help solve and address. And I'm going to take that initiative and play a role in supporting the common good. So how do the obligations and responsibilities of citizens relate to active participation in society and government? Well, when it comes to obligations, this means that federal, state, and local laws must be followed while taxes must be paid. Serving on juries guarantees defendants a fair trial. while registering for selective service provides military personnel in a national emergency. All of these activities take action, right? To know what the laws are so that we can follow them, to serve on juries when we get that jury summons, to register for selective service if it is our legal obligation to do so. So we need to actively participate in government in order to fulfill our obligations. What about our responsibilities? Voting allows citizens to be heard by the government, but we must use our power to vote. That is active participation. Attending civic meetings requires that we put in the effort as well. Petitioning the government allows individuals to share their beliefs with government, which means that we need to find out who our legislators are. We need to find out what committees they might be serving on, what the powers of that level of government are, so that when we do petition the government, we can ask for something that is within their domain, within the powers that they have and the responsibilities that they have as public officials. Running for office allows citizens to represent their community. Running for office does require active participation, fundraising, ringing doorbells, meeting constituents, taking all this effort to make sure that your name and your policy positions are known to potential constituents. And finally, performing community service helps people address community issues, and indeed, there is a service, there is an active participation to that service. So we're not talking about me having a great idea for community service and then hoping that someone else will do it. Rather, it's me seeing that there's a need for community service and getting out there and doing it. Thank you for joining me for Middle School Civics Highlights. Do you still have questions? Please contact us using the information that appears on the screen. Till next time, I'm Dr. Terry Susan Fine. Thank you for joining me.